It's Friday night, and this is Tony's Cabaret in Superior. Behind me is one of the last of the great trumpeters, Frankie Cox. Many of the people here tonight have been coming to listen to him play at Tony's Cabaret for over 40 years. He's one of the artists I'll profile tonight on Circa 85.
Well, I started playing when I was in Leicester Park grade school in Duluth. And I started playing in about when I was about in the 5th grade over there. And I played all the way through until 8th grade. And then I went to down to Washington Junior High School. And I played in Washington High School band and Washington High School orchestra. And then I went over to Duluth Central, and I played 4 years there in the band and orchestra.
Frankie, you went to college for chemical engineering, then how did you end up with a musical career?
To finance my schooling, see? I was going to Superior Normal in those days, and it's Wisconsin U now, but I took up chemical engineering, and I was going to be a chemist, but I didn't have enough money to finish the course, of course. I took 2 years of it, and I had good marks, but it got to a place when the nightclubs started having music after till 3 o'clock, and then I just couldn't make it because I lived in Duluth and I couldn't get from here after school and home and back again for a morning 8 o'clock class, you know. I just couldn't do it. So.
Frankie says in the early 40s, musicians played nightly at all the speakeasies and nightclubs along 3rd Street in Superior. In 1943, Tony Zukaitis asked Frankie to join a band at his cabaret, and Frankie's been playing trumpet there ever since. I'm sure you've had offers over the year to go elsewhere.
Oh, yes, yes. I had chances to go with a lot of big bands. But I didn't care to travel, and I had a daughter that traveled with big bands, and she sang. She was with Count Basie, and when she was in Minneapolis, she used to come up on weekends sometimes when she wasn't working and sit and play with us, just for fun, you know.
Some people compare you physically and in your style to Louis Armstrong. Where do you place yourself? If you had to compare yourself, how would you describe yourself?
I tried to copy Louis right from a kid. I tried to copy him, and I got a lot of his records, and I copied his choruses, and some of people say I sing like him. I don't know whether I don't. To me, it don't sound like I haven't got quite as raspy a voice as he had.
George and Jean Frodeson are weekend regulars at Tony's Cabaret. Jean says she started coming here in 1940.
Well, of course, I go back even further than that. I go back to 1935 when my first intrusion, when I was underage in high school and had snuck in the back door. So.
And what is it about Frankie's playing that attracts you here?
Well, of course, I love blues, I love jazz, I love the rhythm, the beat of his music, and there isn't anybody else that plays the music he does. And the old big band sound and some of the blues that he plays and the jazz.
It's one of the few oases and retreats and refuge from contemporary music.
You know, and it's like going back in time because the place has not changed since the early 30s or 40s. It's the same. And people kind of take a trip back in time, old nostalgia to come back. Now, the cabaret sign was donated here by the Playhouse when they did cabaret here several years ago, and they gave them a sign. But people like it because it's funky. You know what I mean?
Beth and Chris, why do you come to Tony's Cabaret?
Music, the atmosphere. It's a very nice alternative from the rest of, you know, the music scene that happens around this area.
It feels like it's lasted a very long time. and it's trustworthy. I always have fun here.
Who are some of the great band leaders or band members that have come and played with you?
Oh, Benny Goodman had a band here, and they played for the Field Artillery Band up at the university, or dance at the university up here. And they came down one night, about 5 of them. They sat in the booth over here. And I didn't know who they were, and of course my son was drumming, and Clyde, the one that's in Oshkosh now, he's a drummer. He was drumming with me, and he knew who they were because he was at the dance, you know. But I didn't know who they were, and so they come up and asked could they sit in. Well, I didn't know who they were, and so I wasn't going to let nobody sit in unless I knew who they were, you know. And I give them all kinds of excuses, tell them you got to belong to the union, and they said we belong to the union. Oh, yeah. And then I says, well, you can't augment the band. In other words, you can't make the band bigger than what they're paying for, see? And they knew that. They knew all the rules, but they said those can be circumvented, they said, you know. So finally, then Clyde was drumming. He told me, he says, that's Benny Goodman's band. Well, then right away, then I sure changed my position then. And I went on over, and I told them, I said, if you guys want to sit in, I said, I didn't know who you were, you know. And they said, we don't blame you. And, they said, and if you want to sit in, so there was 5 of them. They went out and got their instruments out in their cars. One of them had a great big doghouse bass, you know. He brought that in, and trombone man, and clarinet man, and piano player. And they one had one of the sax man, and so we jammed until closing time.
As we look around during your performance, there are a lot of older people here that have been coming year after year to see you play. But why do you think the young people are starting to come?
I think the music is going back to a lot of that older music now. And out east, it's already gone back, but it's still slower here. But there's a lot of people, young people come in here, and they say, gee, we didn't know this place had music like this, you know. And then we get a lot from Minneapolis up here, too.
After 2 heart attacks, a gallbladder operation, and diabetes, Frankie says he'll play as long as he can.
Well, now that's all I have left, you know, I mean, is music, you know.